There we go. There's two of us, and Anne Marie and Jackie. There's Rob, Trina,
Trina?
Chief
Chief?
Spell. Good.
Hi all.
Hello.
So waiting for Larry and Carolyn.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Trina. How are you?
Phew,
Carolyn.
I had a hard time getting in.
Yeah, I just started right at 6.
Yeah, okay, because I said maybe my Zoom is worn out. I said, geez.
Well, we drove up to New Hampshire today in
Oh, did you?
in a driving snowstorm.
Oh my God.
Really, really? Wow.
The daffodils are just coming out up here.
God.
And I was up in Longwood and they're about 2 weeks behind us.
Yeah, I'd say 2, maybe 3. I mean, because the elevation here probably makes it even a little further behind. But
What's
yeah,
the temperature?
the snowstorm was pretty funny.
Really?
Yeah, especially after Tuesday when it was what, 75 degrees?
Mm-hmm.
Carolyn, I'd like to thank you for suggesting the Zoom light. I got one.
Oh,
So
good
things
girl.
are better.
See, I told you, you look good.
You know, come to think of it, you do look much better.
I said, baby, you got to get a Zoom light, you know.
I mean, she never looked bad, but you do look great.
Okay, Carolyn, what's the Zoom light? I need to know. A year into this.
I didn't pay that much for it. It's this round light that's behind my desk that attaches to the back of the desk. And then if I close my
And I
blind
attached it to
behind
my
me,
laptop.
you know, if you close the blind behind you, you'll be even better. Close the blind behind you and it doesn't cost a whole lot.
And I can, and this one I think was less than 10 bucks, and I can dim it or add more light. See?
Me too. I have different colors. We're gonna show off now, baby. I have different colors.
Yeah, how about that? but it's right in my eye.
I know, me too, but it just really makes it nice.
You know, when you see the sometimes when they show reporters on a set, you'll see that little round
Yes.
light.
in
Yeah.
the
I'll show it.
Yeah,
Oh,
And the earbuds.
yeah, exactly.
All right,
All
Penny,
right.
I
I'll
see
show
the
it.
glass.
This is what mine looks like. See it?
Yep,
And
That's what it looks like.
it's really
Cool.
cool. Yeah, and
All right.
it's not expensive.
There you go. All right, it is 6:03 according to my computer. This is the Thursday, April 22nd, 2021 meeting of the Ad Hoc Police Committee, or the Police Ad Hoc Committee as our agenda says. I'd like to make a couple of announcements before we get going. The first, and he just went off air, but the first is to congratulate Chief Spell and the Lewes Police Department and the DEA on this very significant arrest today of 3 individuals who had an awful lot of heroin, among other drugs. That's great police work, and congratulations to the chief and everyone at the police department.
You're here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the second thing I'll say, and I just wanted to sort of comment on the verdict in the George Floyd murder case, and we can of course now call it a murder case because it's clear that it was murder. I am thankful that justice was done, and I am thankful that that there was no I don't know how to call it, that there was
Violence.
no violence. And I think the main thing that most people felt, at least speaking for myself, was relief. I mean, there's nothing happy in the situation, but relief that justice was done. And the final thing is, this is my last meeting with you all.
That's what
So-
you think. That's what you think.
Yeah, so I just wanted to thank everybody for serving. It has been a pleasure. This is a very hardworking group, and keep up the good work. So, does anyone else have any announcements for the good of the group before we go to the agenda?
That works two ways, Bonnie. Thank you so much. God
Only
knows
that
you've done.
Yes.
We know what you've done, and we really appreciate it, honey.
My pleasure.
yeah, Bonnie, we will miss you very much. Your hard work, not the only thing we'll miss.
Here,
Well,
here.
I'll be right here in New Hampshire probably all summer. So come on and visit.
Oh, such pain.
With the snow.
Oh, rubbing it in.
Yeah, right.
I said it was snowing today.
Yeah.
And we're going to be at the beach. We're okay.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody is going to have to catch me up on this. Jackie or Anne Marie, do we have all of these? Have all of these minutes been distributed to the committee for their review? I simply don't remember. Rob, do you recall?
I thought so.
Yes, I have mine.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
Bonnie, I missed the thing. What was your question? What has
Never
been
mind.
distributed to the
It
committee?
was answered. We're good.
Okay, good.
This is on item B1 on the agenda, approval of minutes.
Right.
And we can take them one at a time, or I can ask collectively. Why don't I start collectively? Does anybody have any additions, deletions, or modifications to the August 3rd, 2020, February 24th, 2021, or March 25th, 2021? And I noted that Rob had said he had on the latter on the March 25th that Rob had said that he had bracketed some things that weren't clear to him. I didn't see the brackets when I pulled up your document, Rob. I'm sorry, it must be something lost in translation, but do you want to, well, first of all, does anybody have any issues with the August 3rd or February 24th minutes?
The 24th minute, yes, last page.
Okay,
You have, on the last page, discussion on issues the committee feels are important going forward. You have an assignment there for me and Trina, but we decided at that meeting that that wasn't anything that we were going to work on, cyber theft education. Do you know where I'm
Okay.
going? You see right
yeah,
there?
do you want to suggest an amendment, Jackie? Listen up. Do you want to suggest that this, but there was the consensus of the group that that no further work was appropriate for this or needed, something like that?
Yep.
Jackie, did you get that?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
That addition, does anyone have any additional changes to the August 3rd or February 24th minutes?
The February 24th, I do, Bonnie. And that was the
Okay.
one that I had a couple of questions about.
Okay,
But
shoot.
not as to March or August.
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's do it that way. Anybody have any concerns about the March 25th, 2021 minutes? Okay, Rob, shoot. So we're now talking about the February 24th minutes.
February. Yeah, February, there's I'll hit everything. In section 3, second bullet is a human resourced, should be human resources.
Oh, yeah.
And
That
Jackie, if you don't, okay. And then in 5, second bullet, last sentence, it says the grants allowed with accreditation standards have already been met by the department. Not quite sure what that
means.
says. Does that maybe, Chief, does that mean that the accreditation standards required in order to qualify for the grants have been met?
Chief?
So my recollection is that it was any funding that the accreditation would afford them, they're already eligible for.
Any funding that requires accreditation, they're already eligible for.
No, not that there would not be any additional funding that they would be eligible for with the accreditation. They're already eligible for all of the
Okay,
grants
so
that would apply.
the grants allowed for accreditation centers have already
Chief
been,
Spell just unmuted.
okay, great.
Chief, did you have a better
I was
answer?
talking and of course I was muted. My apologies. I think you're right, Anne Marie. We're already eligible for all that funding.
But that wasn't quite what Anne Marie said, I don't think.
Could you read the
I think
sentence
she
one
was
more
saying
time,
that.
Rob?
Say again?
Read that sentence one more time.
I still didn't follow.
He asked to read the sentence. So what it says, Tom,
Oh.
is the grants allowed with accreditation standard have already been met by the department. So I think it could be reworded to say that no additional grants would be available with the accreditation.
Yep, both are accurate in my opinion, as far as the state accreditation.
So did you get that?
Yes,
Jackie?
yes, I did.
Okay, then, thanks. Then paragraph 6, third bullet, it says speeding on Mariner from New Road to 4th Street.
Where are
Not
you,
quite sure
Rob?
what that,
Where are you, Rob?
6, paragraph number 6, third bullet.
Okay.
The third clause says speeding on Mariner from New Road to 4th Street. Don't know what that refers to. Chief, can you help with that?
Yeah, no, I don't know what that refers to either. Should that be West 4th Street? From New Road to where?
Oh,
What street stop signs? Not.
Might be New Road to Mariners Retreat.
On 4th Street?
Right.
Yeah,
well, how about just speeding? Yeah. Oh,
That's talking about the Mariners Retreat. That can only make sense if you're saying that.
speeding maybe to Mariner.
You don't have any place to speed on Mariners.
Chief, was it speeding to Mariners Retreat from New Road to 4th Street?
Or towards Mariner Retreat, probably not to.
yes,
Yeah.
from New Road.
It's
to
got to be
Mariners.
2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thanks. Then, yes, paragraph 7, second bullet, the third line. Well, there's a clause that says the DENREC portion of the trail on the beach side of canal going toward Cape Henlopen Drive to also be responsibility of police was requested. I think I know what that means, but who asked us?
That would be
Who
our,
asked? Say again?
that would be our responsibility from the canal to Freeman Highway. Is that what they're referring to?
From the trail along the canal toward Cape Henlopen Drive.
I would
don't
say if we replaced Cape Henlopen Drive with Freeman Highway, it would be correct.
And who made the request? Del Dot?
I thought that was just part of when that trail was constructed. So I'd have to listen to the recording to have clarity on what was intended there.
So basically, we're going to patrol that portion of the trail, of the DENREC portion of the trail. Is that the point?
Well, my understanding is that we're patrolling from American Legion Road to the canal and to Freeman Highway, not beyond Freeman Highway.
That's accurate.
Okay. So how would we phrase that so that
So
Yeah, how
the
about-
city has an
okay.
agreement with DelDOT to police the Lewes Georgetown Trail from Savannah Road to Gills Neck Road. And
how about
make,
this? The Denrec portion of the trail on the beach side of Canal going toward Freeman Highway to also be responsible for the police. End of clause.
that should work.
Okay, so we'll delete was requested and replace Cape Henlopen Drive with Freeman Highway. Great. Okay, thank you. And then finally, after number 12, there's a paragraph beginning discussion on issues. Second bullet, there's in the fourth line, there's a reference to appoint a detective to community policing. What did that refer to? I don't recall.
Appoint a detective community policing. I don't know what that means.
Tom, can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now. I'm not sure how we got to that, to be honest with you.
It might be good. That one might be worth listening to the recording to make sure it's captured correctly.
Great. Okay. And I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, well, with that, I think we can approve the August 3rd and March 25th minutes. And we'll have to come back, you all will have to come back to the February 24th minutes after Jackie has a chance to clarify that last point that Rob just brought up. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Or we could just,
We could, go ahead, Rob.
we could delegate to Jackie the authority to correct it in accordance with the tape.
I delegate to Jackie the authority to correct just about anything.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank-
she's ready for vacation then.
Well, with that,
Well, I
okay,
move we adopt all three sets of minutes.
I
with
second.
The corrections noted for the February 24th minutes.
Absolutely.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye or raise your hand. I believe that we have unanimous consent. Oh, I forgot to raise my hand. Unanimous consent to that. Okay, moving on to the meeting items. The first item is continuing discussions of ways to educate and assist Lewes citizens with cybercrime. We've discussed this before, and the fact that basically cybercrime moves very quickly and is very nimble, and that the resources of the Lewes Police Department to address it are pretty limited just because of the nature of the crime. We've also discussed how the Lewes Police Department already is putting things on its Facebook page about these issues. So the question is are there additional, or pick up discussion where we were before, I think, are there additional ways that we could that we could ask the police department to assist our citizens against these things? I mean, I don't know about you all, but I probably got, if you don't even count my spam, I probably got 6 or 7 of these things last week. You know, I need your help. A lot of them come from Ted Becker. So I mean, he gets hacked a lot. And so what are the thoughts among the committee members?
Before anybody chimes in, Bonnie, I should just tell you that I've taken a couple steps. I've requested the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection, a federal agency. I've requested got an email from them, and I requested a bunch of materials for handouts. Now that, they're gonna mail them to me. I'm not sure the timing on that, but I requested a variety of different handouts. I pretty much checked every box of stuff they were offering. So I'll have some resources that will be available. Again, the matter is distributing those resources. And also in partnership with the Lewes Police Foundation, I've ordered some identity theft booklets that are going to have the City of Lewes Police Department seal on it, and then in partnership with the Lewes Police Foundation, about $1,100. I think there's over 1,000 of these booklets that we'll be able to pass out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, again, it's it's a small little pamphlet, but it certainly has probably 30 pages of tips and advice for people. So I think that'll be a nice giveaway at various things as well.
That sounds very positive.
Mhm.
Additional thoughts? Thank you, Tom. Additional thoughts by the committee members?
Well, we did a pretty good job. If you look at the March 25th minutes and you look at the C meeting items, you explained the various things that you're saying now. And if you go over to the February one, number 8, you just about covered everything. And then if you add what the chief just said, you've got everything from telling people at the farmer's market to telling people at Lloyd's market. So you've covered every area, just about every area, in terms of letting people know what's going on in our notes. At least that's how I see it.
Okay.
Also, just
think
a
there's
reminder that the library is
a
willing to
value-
work with us with the police if we want to do programming at the library.
Yeah, that's in there too.
Okay.
know,
Rob,
I think there's a difference between educating citizenry in depth and just reminding people to be on their guard. And I think it doesn't hurt to remind people, because even intelligent people who should know better, like that Larry Podesta, who let a hacker into the government sites, let them on their guard. And so I think whatever vehicle we encourage the chief to use and use ourselves, repetition has value.
Mm-hmm.
well, it's certainly true that the attempted thefts have repetition. So yeah, probably and they are very sophisticated, a lot of them. When we talked about encouraging people to use the I think they call it the 2-factor verification and things
Right.
like that. So, okay, well, then I think where we may, unless anyone has more to suggest on this topic, I think where we may be is to hand this over to Chief Spell and ask him to report back after he's had a chance to think through what he wants to do and execute. Does that make sense?
Does to me.
Okay, Chief, sounds like the potato is hot, cold, or otherwise, it's now yours.
Got it.
Okay, great, thank you. Moving on to item C2.
Can I just mention?
Yes, please.
Can I just mention something about? I don't know if it was said or if it was considered when we talk about the farmers market and whatnot, but maybe some volunteers can be out and about and remind people, even if it's verbally or what have you, because I don't know if there's a budget to hand out things or give a little trinket that says, be aware of cybercrime, but maybe that's a consideration that, some of us can do some weekends.
Yeah, something catchy like
Just an idea.
when buying your fiber, think about cyber, yeah, but yeah, I mean, I tell you what, I'll take that one. I'll talk to Sharon about it. And
if they have enough materials that really are the kind of things you just want to hand out randomly. When I was the first couple of years that I was on the bike pedestrian committee, we actually got a card table, and put it at the exit. And we were giving away some trinkets, but we were also giving away safety tips and maps and such. And the farmers market let us just set a table up right there on the sidewalk almost. Yeah, at the entrance, you could do that with the way it's set up now. And the volunteers could be us if there's enough material that they want to hand it out en masse like that.
good point. Good point.
And I know AARP has good information, and I'm not sure if they have materials to give or whatever, but that may be something that can be looked into to see if there's any organizations that may have things that are able to be used as giveaways.
Okay. Well, how about if I take that one on as my parting gift to the committee? I'll reach out to AARP. That's a good idea, Trina. And to Sharon Dardine of the Farmers Market and see what can be pulled together there. Does that
Sure.
Okay. So
Absolutely.
moving on to C2, continuing discussion of police oversight, including disciplinary actions. We've discussed the whole issue of civilian oversight and coordination, and I believe from memory that the chief and Anne Marie always understanding that there's certain legal limitations about how this all works, but that Anne Marie and Chief Spell have in fact been engaging in more conversations. Do you want to sort of refresh everyone's recollection on that? And then I just want to leave this open or open the floor for further discussion.
I'm going to defer to the chief to give that summary.
Well, no, I would say that's a totally accurate statement that we have, coordinated much better moving forward since the genesis of the first committee in just communicating what potential disciplinary investigations there are, coordinating how they're going to move forward and how they're going to be resolved, or as far as not necessarily how they're going to be resolved, but with what discipline will be issued. And I think we're doing that with pretty much everything other than maybe a written reprimand at this point. There haven't really been too many for the last year.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, that's very good to hear.
Yes.
And of course, if I recall correctly, the most serious matters are now being, sort of dealt with externally.
Correct.
Okay.
That's good.
Well, one suggestion for how to maybe formalize this informal one is just to ask that the city manager confirm in her report to the council each month that a discussion has taken place. It doesn't have to go into the details. It's just a confirmation. And I think that leaves it then away from the police bill of rights, but it does give the council the assurance that if we change chiefs or change city managers, that the conversations continue.
Anne Marie?
That's fine. I mean, obviously with no details, but we can certainly do that.
Chief Spell?
Yep, makes sense.
Excellent. Great suggestion, Nancy. Additional conversation, thoughts on this issue? Okay, hearing none, are we ready to move on to the next agenda item?
Yep.
Okay. Discussion of a revised committee report to the City Council. I took a crack at incorporating the very, very helpful feedback that we got from the chief and Anne Marie on the police department's responses to the committee's recommendations. There's also some information here on some input from Stephanie Ballard, who is an outside attorney who's assisting the city on police matters. And I think, Rob, unless I missed it, I think you had a couple of comments on page 6. And you have decided to withdraw or no longer pursue, or whatever the term would be, the concurring report. Have I got that right?
That's right. That the concurrence is gone. I made a couple of corrections to your references to who had left in 2020. We
Okay.
lost 3 officers, not 2.
Not 2.
And also a correction to the current staffing. I think the way you had described it, it added up to 16. So I think there were, and Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there are 7 patrol officers authorized now. Well, in addition to the corporals, in addition to the 4 corporals, the 1 sergeant.
In addition to,
That's a total of 11?
So let me see if I can,
yes, 11 would be accurate, including the supervision.
so that includes the corporals, but
Not the sergeant,
not the sergeant, right?
correct.
Okay, and the
Okay.
corrections you made, Rob,
So
are
I mean-
consistent with that?
Yeah, I made those corrections in the little markup I did. And then you asked me to fill in 2 of the items, and I did that, but and in section 10
Mhm.
and 11.
Okay. Got it. So, okay, but also on page 6. Okay, excellent. So with that, how would the committee like to proceed? Essentially what I did was I relied on Jackie's draft minutes
Mhm.
to try to fill in all the information we had gotten. Hopefully I got it right, and I don't think that anything has changed since the chief's explanation. And I just want to thank the chief again. I mean, it was a really, really, it made me feel great that the police department had taken these recommendations to heart and come back with such a detailed response. It was very helpful. So how do you want to go through section by section? Did people see things that were incorrect? What's your thought?
I went through it myself. I didn't find anything that I needed to report on. I hope everybody else has too.
Larry, how about you? Were you okay with the way it's written now?
I'm fine with it. I'm sort of taking this, I'm so early in this stages. I'm more listening than I am talking, and I'm trying to read up on everything I can get. So
Okay.
yes, I'm fine. Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you. Trina? Did
I
you
went
have,
through it and I didn't see anything that needed.
come on, I can't have done it that well.
My system is unstable today, so I don't hear it or not.
All right, Nancy, it's up to you to tell me everything I did wrong then.
All right, Nancy, what's it? What is it?
Let's go.
Oh, that's
I
smile.
actually
There
have
it
been
is.
gone all day and I just found it after I sat down to start the Zoom. So if the mistakes are there, I've missed them. I will admit to reading, sort of highlights of it while we've been talking, but I haven't studied it successfully or thoroughly.
Okay, great. Well, it really, I relied, as I said, on I did not go back and rewatch the video because the minutes were, as Jackie always does, were so detailed that I felt very comfortable relying on that. Rob, any additional comments? I didn't mean to leave you out. I just knew you'd already had a crack at it, so.
No, I'm just a little bit concerned that I turned it around so late that members of the committee might feel they would like more time. I don't know.
You've been a little busy, Rob.
I've been, yeah, a little bit. And that ties into another point. It's really on the next agenda item, on the next meeting. My status may change, Carolyn's status may change.
Correct.
I'm not sure we want to set a next meeting yet, but if anybody on the committee thinks they'd like more time with this report, then we might want to wait to finalize it until the next meeting, whenever that is.
Yeah, that's fine. I did, just for the record, I didn't jam Rob. I did give him the draft ahead of time.
I at this point, I still have the one prior to that one and the one prior to that and then this one. So I'm at this point that, I can't imagine what else we could do with this report. If I'm wrong, let me know.
Well, good.
I think we've dotted the i's and crossed the t's on this.
So the one,
Great. I
And
think Bonnie
also,
did a terrific job.
And also, isn't there an opportunity to review it maybe annually or what have you? So if anything changes, that adjustments can be made.
yeah, but we do need
Sure.
to send it back to council. That was our obligation. The one thing that I think is blank at this point, otherwise probably is ready to go back to council. And that can happen after another meeting if people want more time to review it, absolutely. But if you look on page 6 at the bottom under extension of police review committee, we need to make a decision as a committee whether to recommend to council that the committee be authorized to continue or what. So that is a blank in the report that needs the committee to fill in.
Is that on page 6?
It's on my page 6 at the bottom under revised recommendation in yellow. It says in caps, it says full committee.
Oh, I don't know.
Sorry, it's under number 12.
Oh, thank you, because it
Yeah.
wasn't on my,
Right, it's under number
it
12.
wasn't on my 6. Okay.
Okay, and then you go, the response, city council authorized continuation of the committee, and then revised recommendation. It seems to me we have to go back and say, we think this should be a standing committee. We think this should, we think our job is done. We think that, this should be like the finance committee and meet quarterly. I mean,
No, that's why I have a question mark there. Yes, I was thinking more in terms of quarterly as opposed to having a meeting and trying to think of what to talk about. I think we should look at it in terms of figuring out how we can stay abreast of what's going on, but by the same token, meet if there's a reason to meet. So a quarterly or something like that so that we can stay abreast of what's going on, but to meet every month seems like a bit much for me.
The other thing that I would suggest is that if it is going to become a standing committee that meets quarterly, that you clearly set out what the scope of the committee is, because as this committee was set up, it was set up as an ad hoc committee to review the police department and to look to make recommendations for how we can improve things. But I don't know if that's the scope of a standing committee.
Exactly, we've done that. And if we were to, well, given what's going on in the real world today, and to say we don't have a committee sounds like a wrong move to make. So I think you're absolutely right. We need to determine what's the scope of the meeting if we are to keep it. It would probably have a completely different face. And then this committee would actually not exist after this. And then if there is to be another one, what would it be? Just Food for thought.
Or this one could continue, this group could continue, but just meet on a less frequent basis. I mean, part of what the finance committee does, for example, is simply to hear from city staff about, as you go through the fiscal year, about the state of the city's finances and projects and things like that. And then to take on projects as the committee feels necessary or appropriate. You could set this committee up in a similar way. And, I would also say that if Anne Marie is the city manager or Chief Spell, thought that the committee could meet, they could ask for a meeting of the committee as well. If something was more time sensitive.
What's your thoughts, Nancy?
To make sure I'm not muted. It seems to me that might be a decision for the new council to make. I mean, my recommendation, if we're going to make a recommendation, is that it continue. I think our community has been well served and we've had very few problems, but given the world around us, that this is a committee that there are issues in the larger community that we need to be aware of and how they affect Lewes. So I think there's a role also for the community to be able to approach committee members to bring issues and ideas to the council in a more organized way than just doing it at the council meeting.
Do you think we should change the scope of this meeting, of this committee? Because
Right now,
our objective
it's been pretty broad. I think when you start limiting the scope, then you start making it less relevant.
And I have a question. Do we change the scope or does council change the scope?
Council.
But
The
we
current
will make
charge-
recommendation to the council on what the scope might be.
Okay.
We don't have to.
The current charge to this committee is, quote, to examine the Lewes Police Department's operations for programmatic priorities and potential efficiencies.
Right.
So I think Carolyn's right. I think we have done that. So the next question is this committee, is it your all's view that the committee should continue? And if it should continue, should it move into more of a monitoring and oversight role? And by oversight, I don't mean oversight over the operations of the Lewes Police Department, but simply oversight over how things are going. And provide a forum for feedback between the citizens and the police when things come to the committee's attention or otherwise, that or the city managers or anybody else's, that it'd be appropriate to talk to Tom and the city manager about, Anne Marie about going forward. I mean, that is another way to talk about the continuing role of the committee.
So let me just make something in my mind clear. So if you're saying that the community can bring issues or what have you, because I'm not sure we want to turn into, or unless we do, like a complaints kind of thing.
Oh,
And
no, yeah.
exactly. But when you say the community can bring things to us, the community may misinterpret and think that is the role of the committee or the new committee or commission or ad hoc or what have you. So I think that should be very clear and specific.
I think that's an excellent clarification. I didn't mean that the committee should become sort of an ombuds, but rather that if there were systemic or programmatic issues that the citizens wanted to have discussed, that the committee would be a place for that to happen. So that's a really good clarification, Trina.
I also think you have to be very careful on the oversight issue because that is a sensitive topic with the Law Enforcement Bill of Rights and with the current efforts by the state to look at that, that's one of the places where they've really run into a buzzsaw. with the various police, or with the police union. So being a little careful on that one.
Rob, your thoughts?
I think that a continuing review function is appropriate for such an important part of our community. So, and I don't think the scope needs to be very exact, but I think review of the police department's operations kind of covers the ballpark and doesn't suggest any kind of supervisory role.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Is that, so I wrote down review of operations. Tom, does that give you any concern, and Anne-Marie? And if so, is there a better formulation? Or a different formulation?
Well, yes would be the short answer. I guess it does give me some concerns, but without knowing what the scope is specifically, it could be problematic as the committee turns over, as new people come
How
on.
about
Expect different things. So that's the only concern I would have, as opposed to focusing on, program priorities and efficiencies.
how about this, Bonnie? What we're really trying to do is look at the police department's relationship with the community. And maybe that's the way to phrase it. We're not interested in operations at a tactical level.
Right.
That
What do you-
might be.
Do you want to call it community policing? I mean, that's the shorthand for that.
It's part of it. I'm not sure that the community policing, as people understand it, it covers everything about the relationship of the department to the community.
Okay,
It's a lot.
so what I think I'm hearing is that the recommendation to council would be for the continuation of the ad hoc police review committee meeting likely on a quarterly basis. And its charge would be to review the Lewes Police Department's relationship with or service to the community, relationship with the community.
Community in it.
Sorry?
Oh, yes, something. with-
Either one would be fine, as far as I'm.
I'd rather say service. Relationship sounds
Yeah, a
pejorative to me somehow.
little touchy there.
Yeah. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, that would probably work.
Okay.
And that would cover, programmatic priorities that I think are central to the committee's interest, in my opinion, anyway.
Okay. Anne-Marie, does that work for you?
Yeah, I think that helps. It helps, in my view, to kind of focus, because it would no longer be the ad hoc committee. I mean, if it's a standing, if it's a standing committee, it needs a name that kind of identifies what the expectation is.
Okay.
Could there, with that name, could there be like maybe 5 or 10 bullets to let the public know it kind of what that means? Because again, you don't want it to cross over into something that you don't want it to cross over into.
Like a complaint department.
Yeah,
Do you have some suggestions, Trina?
not off the top of my head, but I'm just trying to think ahead that somebody, or it may be misinterpreted, and so in order to avoid that, we may consider a few bullets to so that the scope can narrow into what, instead of bloom into something bigger,
Well, if we keep it in terms of a review committee or something of that nature, it's specific. I don't know.
I guess it might even be hard to control those expectations other than the committee determining whether it's appropriate. I don't know.
No. Yes.
What about like Police Community Coordination Committee?
Huh. It's
I
good.
mean, because I'm thinking, what are the things that would really add value? And it could be, you know, like the committee is in touch with the community in a different way than the police are.
And it's informing the community.
Right. So think about, we had this, I thought, very productive discussion about cybercrime and those types of things the last time. The chief heard what the community concern was, and he came back with something that met that concern. And to me, that's where I see the value, that, you know, and then there could be, you know, I'm just going to put this out there, you know, when we have National Night Out and we're looking at doing other community events, it could be that members of the committee support those efforts. So it kind of, you know, a two-way street where the department responds to concerns being brought forward. And when I say concerns, again, I don't, not complaints, but you know, I'm hearing a lot of my neighbors have gotten these scam phone calls, you know, and we kind of have the discussion about that, or, you know, if there's break-ins or something. I don't know. I'm just thinking.
No.
Or also maybe there is an opportunity for when maybe one of us would hear there's some issue with a crossing, and we can say, well, this is the bicycle committee is the committee for that, or maybe direct people into the right direction for certain issues. I don't know.
That's why
I think you
community.
can discourage the complaints and the others by just saying they're out of bounds when they come up, and people will figure that out. But
So I wrote down the following 3 bullets. Let's see if any of these make sense. I had department initiatives, and by department, I mean, obviously the police department, community outreach, and trends of interest to the citizens, which could cover problems on the trails, the cyber issues we're talking about, crime hotspots. And that, when I say that, what comes to mind is the perennial problem of people leaving their purses showing when they go to Lloyd's at Christmas time, right? That happens every year's issue. Does that begin to get us towards the sort of things that Trina, I think, is talking about? I'll read them again. Department initiatives, community outreach, trends of interest to citizens.
I think so.
I'm just throwing them out there, so make them better.
Well, it covers enough. I mean, you know, the whole concept is you keep the term community in there, they know what our purpose is.
And this is just a recommendation to council. I mean, council can subtract, add, do whatever it wants to do.
So, and just, I don't know if this fits directly into this, but we are getting ready to engage in the 2 surveys, the National Community Survey, which will hopefully be launched in the next few weeks. And then when that's complete, it's called a National Police Services Survey. And with that, I think we'll have kind of a pretty good sense of what the community is desiring, expecting, you know, needing in terms of services. And, you know, the whole idea is it'll be the foundation of a strategic plan, but it may also really help to guide how this group forms moving forward.
Are you having an organization, outside organization, do that for you?
Polco and Natural Research.
Are you having any input on the type of questions to ask?
It's a national benchmarked survey, so it's all the questions they ask in all the same communities.
Okay, can I just say to you in terms of a survey that make sure that they're questions that make sense, questions that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I know when I was in Dover participated in the National Community Survey. I know that the city of Milford participates, and Polco has a very good track record.
Good. Just make sure that they make sense.
Right. Yep.
Just make sure they make sense.
Bonnie, maybe you add something along the lines of other topics as assigned by the council, and that allows some flexibility. You know, they could say, we'd like this commission to review the survey results, you know, and put it there, but it doesn't have to be in what you're drafting now. You just have a sort of clause that the council can use as it needs to.
Yep, I just added it. Good idea. So one more time, it would be the committee's charge would be to review LPD initiatives, community outreach, trends of interest to citizens, and other topics as assigned by council.
That's good.
Can I add on the last one, or referred by other city commissions, committees, and boards? Because, you know, there's a lot of things
Good.
that,
Yeah, you can get a lot from that.
okay. Is that all right with everybody?
Mm.
Yes.
Fine.
Okay. Because I mean, for example, I can see where the bicycle committee might have something that it thinks it can work well with this committee on to, you know, to go forward on the trails. I mean, just as an example, I can hypothesize something like that.
Mhm.
Okay. And can I ask a question I've never known in 9 years on council? What makes something a commission versus a committee?
It's longer, stays longer.
I don't know,
Committee,
the board I get, but
yeah.
I've thought about that myself because I've been asked that question. Commissions seem to have, if you just kind of look at what the commissions are, the commissions seem to have more of a standing. If you look, you know, you have H Park, you've got the Planning Commission, African American Heritage Commission. I'm trying to think, I can't think of any other commissions. The rest are, you know, you have the Board of Adjustment, and they've got a and a Board of Health and a Board of Ethics. And then the committees seem very almost action oriented, or Parks and Recreation Commission is another commission. They seem to just have a higher level of responsibility.
right. I mean, I think that makes sense. And some of them have, you know, like Planning Commission has some state statutory basis. Okay, well, never mind.
But
was-
that's just
I-
I pondered that myself, Bonnie.
Okay, well, there you go. Okay, so how about if what I would suggest that I do is put this in on that blank recommendation 12 section, and shoot this around for everybody to take a look at one more time. Nancy.
Maybe a first time.
And I'll take out and I'll take out all of the, you know, all of the chicken scratch in the right.
I'm not printing this again.
No, please don't. Please
Not
don't.
happening.
Save some trees. And then how about if we give it a week? And if anyone has an issue, please to get back just to me so we stay within FOIA. If it's just a typographical kind of thing, I don't think we need to meet that as a
Right.
group. If it's a substantive issue, schedule another meeting and take it up there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Sounds fine.
Okay, beautiful. I will send it around. All right, well, I think we decided that scheduling the next meeting is premature at this point.
Yep.
So I think our work here is done. 1 hour. I always try to keep meetings that I chair to 1 hour.
Proud of you.
We're there.
Proud of you. Way to go out, baby.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks again, Bonnie.
Bonnie, thank you so very much. Really, words cannot express how much we appreciate you, kiddo.
Thank you.
Yes,
It's as I said the other night, it's been an honor to serve. It really has been.
And as I said the other night, you're not going anywhere. You know how to get to you, kid.
I'm
And,
just
you know,
saying, there's a vacancy on the planning commission.
Well, hey, think about it. It frequently happens.
It happened with my predecessor.
It frequently happens, yes, planning, you know.
Sorry, Bonnie.
Yeah, I'll talk to you, Anne Marie.
Yeah, and they're a good committee too. They're a good committee.
All right. On
Be
that
careful with the
happy note,
snow shovel.
Yeah, be careful with the shovel.
it is 7:01 PM and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
I will second.
All in favor? Have a good weekend, everybody.
You
Thank
have
you.
a great one.
Okay.
Off to
Bye-bye.
Utah.
Bye.
Good.